Welcome back. So we've just created our first application right here that can kind of get random jokes, but how did it actually get that data? How did that work? I tried to explain it using these network responses requests I just showed you right here, but let's try to also see this in a drawing and actually see how we're using the power of Angular's HTTP client to get a joke from some kind of URL. So first of all, I've tried to make a small drawing here where we have the client, that's Ionic, we have the internet right here, and then we have a backend that we don't know that much about, except we have a URL right here called api.chucknorris.io. That's all we know, and we also know we can put in /jokes/random to get a random joke, a random Chuck Norris joke, right? So that's kind of what we have to work with right now. Now what can we do? Well, we can use the HTTP client to actually create requests that we can send over the wire. And what is a HTTP request? Let's just take a brief description of that right here. I think of it as an envelope. An HTTP request is just an envelope that we can send over the internet so that we can actually request some data. Just like if you send a letter to somebody you need to know who do I need to send it to, where am I sending it from, and inside we need to send something to the guy, right? It would be stupid just to send an empty letter. Now there's a lot more than that inside an HTTP request, but that's kind of the way you can think of it. It's just a letter that we need to send to somebody, and the internet is like the postal office, right? That's where we send the letter through. So what we're going to do is, what we're doing right here with the HTTP client in the code is we can create a request right here using this get right here. We know that we're going to send a get request. So we want to create an envelope that's a get request, and we want to send that to somebody on the wire. Now where do we want to send it? Well, we want to send it, so back to the code here, we want to send it to this link right here. So this is the URI or the address we want to send this to. So this is a server somewhere in the cloud, and the post office or the internet, they know where this guy resides. So they know that when I send this to a specific address, somebody in here, he says, okay, I'm a postman, I know this needs to go here. That's the server that we need to put this request and send this request to. Sweet, so now this server gets the request, and he can see that this is a GET request. So he unwraps the letter. He opens the letter, right? And he says, oh my God, this is a GET request. Sweet. What else can I see in the request? Well, it seems they want a random joke, a random Chuck Norris joke. Okay, so I'm going to go and get a random Chuck Norris joke here. Get the joke, right? We don't know how he's doing this. We don't care. I'm going to take that data and I'm going to create an envelope for a response to these guys. Now, the cool thing is that we also explained here when we sent the request that we want the response to be as JSON. We want JSON back. We want this beautiful setup that we see right here. We want JSON back from the server. We don't want XML or text. We actually want JSON to be returned from the backend. So he says, okay, they also want it as JSON. So we're going to create some kind of object here, and we're going to start adding something that looks like this. Right? We're going to create that data structure for them, yada, yada, yada. When we're done, we're going to create a new envelope that we can return to these guys who wants this information. And that's going to contain something inside the envelope called the body. The envelope has some area called the body. That's just for me to know where to find the data he returns, right? We have something called the body. Now in the body, we're going to put all of this beautiful data that you just created. And then we're going to send this back as a response over the wire, and the postman is again going to say, okay, so I can see the actual guy who sent the request in the beginning is this guy right here, the application that we created. So we're going to send that back to this guy. There we go. Now he's going to do something with it, and to avoid this video getting too long, we're going to talk about how we then unwrap this beautiful letter that we just got back from the back end. How do we actually unwrap that again so we can use it inside the Angular application right here? That's the next part of this lesson. But now you kind of know how we are kind of sending a request, an HTTP request, a GET request actually, to be more specific, and we expect it to be JSON information we're getting. We send that over the wire right here. Zzz, over the wire. We figure out where it should go by using the address right here. We then unravel it on the server somehow. We get the information they need to get on the server, and then they kind of create a new response HTTP request, or HTTP response actually, and they send that back to us. Now, because we know who sent it, we can also send it back to the guy who actually requested this data. And next lesson, we're going to figure out how we can then unravel this data again so we can use it inside our Ionic application. See you next time.